Colonel Joel Ward with the Oklahoma Army National Guard. I'm 53 years old, and we're here in my home in Claremore, Oklahoma. I'll be retiring from the Guard in September, and that will cap off the 31 years that I've spent in either the Guard or the active Army. I've been in the brigade for most of the time that I've been in the Guard. So, you know, the Infantry Brigade, 45th Infantry Brigade's my home as far as the military goes. It was a real honor to be chosen to command the brigade. I didn't expect to get it. What's more, I was selected to command after the brigade was notified that it was going to deploy to Afghanistan. We started flowing into Afghanistan in June of 2011. We took over the mission in Laghman province there in Afghanistan on July 19th of 2011. We were responsible for 3 provinces in Afghanistan: Laghman province, Panjshir province, and the 3 western districts of Nuristan province. Well, of course, the toughest thing that we did was we went into combat in Afghanistan. That was the biggest challenge that I had there. We went there at a tough time of the year, the height of the fighting season in Afghanistan, and into a pretty kinetic environment with a lot of combat going on. That became Area of Operations Thunderbird, and our mission was to conduct a counterinsurgency there, targeting the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and any other insurgent groups that were attempting to exert control in those provinces. Well, counterinsurgency, it's a combination of things. You have the active combat part where you seek out and attempt to kill or capture the insurgents. But then you're also doing a lot of things to strengthen the government. A big part of what we did was train the Afghan Army. We were partnered with an Afghan Army brigade, and we provided training, and then we also provided a lot of the firepower that the Afghans don't have. When we went into Afghanistan, the governor of Laghman province could really only exert governance there in Medarlam, the capital of the province. We went in and immediately started opening up additional districts in the province. So by the time we left, we'd opened up all of the districts in Afghanistan, including some districts up in the northern part of the province that had never really been under the control of the Afghan government since the war started. The brigade's deployed 3 times since 2001. I made 2 of those, the one in 2003, 2004. Then the brigade went to Iraq in 2007, 2008. I did not go on that one. And then the current deployment that we just finished up was 2011, 2012 to Afghanistan. Well, it's not unprecedented. We knew that we were going into a pretty tough situation in Afghanistan. We knew that we were going to go into Afghanistan at the height of the fighting season, which in Afghanistan, the summer months are when the combat really takes place. In the winter, things kind of slow down. So we knew we were going in right at the height of the fighting season. And the most dangerous time for a unit in Afghanistan is the first few months that you're there, because you really learn your job. You really learn the enemy and how you're going to fight the enemy in those first few months. So all told, the brigade lost 14 soldiers in Afghanistan. It's some of the hardest things that I deal with. And then also, the other part of that is that we had a lot of soldiers that were wounded. The brigade earned 180 Purple Hearts. Almost 300 soldiers had combat-related injuries. And so, there's a lot of pain associated with the stuff that you do there that you have to take into account also. The big thing that we did was the security gains. In addition to the provinces I've already talked about, we also had a battalion down in Paktia province. And then also we had 2 battalions that were remissioned and went to Iraq and Kuwait, or Kuwait and Iraq. So we had accomplishments. The brigade and the Oklahoma Army National Guard had accomplishments across the spectrum of Iraq and Afghanistan. My part of it was more focused on the units in Afghanistan. We didn't stop the fight because we lost soldiers, you know. In many cases, those same units, those same platoons and companies that lost those soldiers had to continue the fight, and despite the fact that there was casualties in the unit. So, you know, my focus as a commander deployed is more on the soldiers and the units. And so, you know, we do things like we have company memorial ceremonies. We have ceremonies where the soldiers, when they're, it's called a ramp ceremony in Bagram, where they get a dignified send-off, and then the other members of the unit have a time to mourn. So I didn't have much of a part in notifying the families. In fact, most of the families I never met until I got back to the U.S. You know, you always, as you get older, you always hear a lot of doubt about the younger generation. I don't have that doubt. You know, I think the soldiers of today are as good as any soldier in the history of the U.S. Without a doubt, they're the most educated, best trained, and the thing that's really unique is that every one of them is a volunteer. Every soldier that we have has either volunteered since not volunteered, or to enlist or re-enlisted since September 11th. So, you know, they knew what they were getting into when they signed up, and it's a real tribute that every one of those soldiers is a volunteer. You know, the 45th, from the time it was organized as the 45th Infantry Division in Oklahoma, Arizona, Colorado, the Southwest, or Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado. It's had a huge Native American influence. The patch, the Thunderbird patch, was designed by a Native American and represents a powerful figure in Native American life. So, you know, we continue to have a strong Native American influence in the brigade, and I think that'll be the way of the future as the brigade is based totally in Oklahoma. Well, you know, the big thing for me is, I guess it's the legacy that you leave behind, and the legacy for a unit is the soldiers, officers that you have a hand in developing them through their career. And so, you know, you look back and you make a lot of close acquaintances, but then you also see those soldiers. As I retire, I'll watch those soldiers continue their careers and have great influence on how the brigade operates in the future.